Hi everyone, welcome. I'm Michelle Genzer, Senior Director of Communications at Tsavo, and I'm joined today by Jason Liu, Tsavo's new CEO. Today we'll learn more about Jason and get his perspective on Tsavo and the sales enablement market. Hi Jason, welcome. Thanks for being here today.
Well, it's a pleasure being here, Michelle, and I want to personally thank all of our customers, our partners, and others within the ecosystem for joining us on this video.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Give us some background on your previous experiences and what you plan to bring to Tsavo.
I think from a career standpoint, I've been very fortunate. Over the last 20 years, I've had a lot of success running quite a few growth companies. In fact, Tsavo will now be the 7th company I've run. So as you might imagine, had a lot of success with the other 6 that I've been involved with. And there's been a common theme to those companies. First of all, each of them achieved very significant growth. Also, each of those companies achieved the leading position from an innovation standpoint within the category that they were in. So if you look at my career, some of the notable items, one of my early companies that I ran became one of the fastest growing companies in the country, a company by the name of Ravison Technologies that we subsequently took public when IPO and got to close to $1 billion market cap, so a great outcome. Also, just several years ago, I was running one of the largest software companies in Central Europe, and that company we grew to be quite sizable. Grew the company to north of over 100 million in revenue, and achieved close to 25% revenue growth and 26% EBITDA. And that company, UC4 Software, which changed its name ultimately to Atomic Software, we subsequently exited and sold it to one of the largest private equity funds in Europe. I stayed on board a year, and now that company has achieved a lot of success since I've left. In fact, acquired a company, is now almost double its size. And then most recently, I was working for one of the largest, or one of the leading tech-oriented private equity funds in the country, Vector Capital, where I was an executive in residence and also served as interim CEO of one of their larger software companies, a company by the name of Allegro. So that's kind of my background. I think from a personal standpoint, as you might imagine, I'm pretty much a Midwestern guy. Grew up in Missouri. I live in Chicago. I've been here now the last 15 years. I think what I'm passionate about is, obviously my companies and the career, but also sports. I'm a huge sports guy, but also my family. My wife and 2 kids, and obviously having the opportunity to run a Chicago company was great. Added part of this opportunity.
Well, that's great. As we all know, Tsavo is obviously headquartered here in Chicago. Tell me, what was it that brought you to Tsavo? What opportunity did you see here?
Yeah, when I look at Tsavo, there are so many great things about Tsavo. I mean, where do you start? I mean, it's got great people, it's got great customers, it's got obviously leading product. There's so many advantages of the company. I think if you kind of have to pick maybe the top 3, certainly I would start with the market. I mean, Tsavo was literally the pioneer in the sales enablement market, and obviously this market is growing and very vibrant, and so you always want to start with joining a company that has that big growth opportunity and that potential, and Tsavo sits in that space. I think from a customer standpoint, we just have great customers. I've started to get to meet some of the customers, and they're just tremendous customer and ecosystem, and also I think the value that we have in working with the customers and the success that we bring them is exciting to have. And last but not least, I think the people that are involved with the company, both employees, we just have great people with a lot of energy, but also our investors. I mean, we have the blue chip investors here, with Goldman Sachs being a recent investor in the company. About a year ago, they came in as an investor, but also SAP Ventures and then Sterling Partners, which a lot of great things about the company, and obviously I'm privileged to be here.
Well, we're very happy to have you here. So you touched a little bit about your background. Can you share a little bit more about your experiences and how those experiences will help set the momentum to make Tsavo even more successful?
If I had to pick kind of the most important ones, I would certainly say experience is one of those elements. I think people have heard about Malcolm Gladwell and the 10,000 hour rule, which he basically said that for you to be world class at anything, you've got to do it for 10,000 hours. And over the 20 years I've been running software companies, I think I'm significantly north of 50,000 hours. So I feel like I have a lot of experience to bring to the table, and I've pretty much seen everything and done everything. So I think I certainly bring that element to the mix. I think a second one is really just the what I call the best practices. As you might imagine, to create repeatability and to create scalability, you really need to mechanize things. And so what I bring is a set of best practices that I've developed over the last 20 years. It's a little bit too static to say it's a playbook. I think it's much more fluid than that. What I would call it is really a toolkit of best practices that I've developed over 20 years that I think can be applied to growth companies. And the last but not least, and arguably the most important, is passion. I have absolute passion for the sales enablement space. When I look at the success I've been able to have in growing companies, the common theme has been the alignment between sales, marketing, and revenue growth. And that really comes from sales enablement. So it's been a big part of what I've seen to be successful. And as you might imagine, being a CEO of a growth company, I have to get very tied into the inner workings of sales and the inner workings of marketing. So I've been a consumer of these type of products for many years. So those type of things, kind of create passion, as you might imagine, of why I feel like I've sat in the shoes of many of our customers, where I've sat in the shoes of kind of running sales and running marketing. I feel like I understand the pain and I understand the product challenges and what they want.
Interesting. So some might perceive the change in leadership as a shift in the direction for the company. What are your thoughts on that?
When you look at Tsavo, Tsavo is a vibrant company. It's got enormous momentum. It's got great customers. Our revenues are growing. So there's a lot of wonderful things about the company. And so you might imagine, in my ways I run companies, I really want to keep and protect what's running and what's going well. And so the core essence of the company, we're not going to change. Our passion around sales enablement, the relationships that we have with our customers and our strong customer emphasis, those things are not going to change. The things that obviously we're going to try to build upon are the processes to make this an even better and scalable place. I kind of gave the analogy of kind of the teenage years, and I think all of us know when we were teenagers we weren't a finished product, right? And so, as we go into our young adult stage, we need to become a little bit more polished as a company and really build in some of the maturity in how we support our customers and how we support our product and sell our product. And so I think when we look and we have our customers and partners joining us in the video, I think what they'll see is they'll see a lot of the core essence that they liked and loved about the company. We're going to keep that, but they're going to be very appreciative of a lot of the polishing that we're going to do the company to make us an even better partner for them long term.
Wonderful, great. This has been tremendously enlightening. Thanks so much for joining us today. We wish you only the best, and we know that with your leadership, we'll continue to set the pace for the sales enablement market.
Great, thank you, Michelle.